Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hello and welcome to There's Still Time, the AFTN soccer show, broadcasting from the University of British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam territory. If you're listening to this on the podcast, this is episode 206. This show is brought to you in partnership with BC Soccer Web, your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links. Visit them every day on bcsoccerweb.com. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And if anyone out there knows how to work a board, to give us a call.
Hey, dude, we're starting so early. We've never started this early.
I was assuming you were Mike 1 for some reason, because you're the first one to talk.
And because your name's Mike.
Yeah.
We'll let you off with that one. So let's kick things off right away with a tweet. Dan Matthias Olsen, at Dan Matthias.
Danimo.
He says, our job tonight is to give us hope that things will get better.
Well, it didn't get better at the beginning there.
No. Tough assignment. Yep.
But it wasn't the worst thing that happened to anything related
It wasn't
to
the
Whitecaps.
worst thing this weekend. It's not been a fantastic Canada Day weekend for Canadian football teams. Whitecaps lost in MLS. Whitecaps lost in USL. TSS Rovers lost in PDL. Two of those games losing to Seattle Sounders, so not fantastic. We did knock Toronto off the top of the Supporters' Shield standings.
Yeah, we assisted.
The only thing.
That's a plus.
But, Montreal also won for Canadian football.
Are they Canadian?
They are, yes.
Oh, okay.
Officially for now.
My Canada includes Montreal.
Okay. I'm not sure. I haven't done my citizenship test yet. Did get 75% on the one that was on the Whitecaps website. Don't know if that passes or not.
It's quite a drive from Montreal to Thunder Bay, just so you know.
Right. So that's not a local derby. Right. I'm learning these things, and once I learn these things, I will take my Canadian citizenship test. I was going to wear a Canada jersey this weekend to celebrate Canada Day. Unfortunately, the only one I had was a hockey jersey, so I didn't think that was appropriate to wear in a soccer show. So I'm wearing my Cascadia top, and what's that you're wearing, Steve?
It's a Canadian hockey jersey.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the person that is biased against other sports.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm happy to support Canada in any which way.
I'm not biased against other sports. There's only one that really matters. So.
Yeah.
And Zach, you are wearing your
Wait,
Deutschland.
the Dominion Day was yesterday, and I wore Canada stuff then.
So July 2nd is Germany Day.
Well, every day.
Deutschland Day?
Every day is quality German football day, yes.
Yeah, and of course, congratulations, Confederation Cup win.
Yep.
And?
From Germany's, was it Second Reich, Third Reich? Whatever the team was.
And U21 as well.
Euro U21?
Oh, I've paid no attention
How could
to
you? They knocked out England on penalties in the
I
semi-final.
heard that, but I didn't watch any of it.
Once England is out of any tournament, Michael shuts down.
Well, Scotland's out of any tournament or shut down, so that's
Or
basically
England
before
gets
tournaments
knocked
get
out.
underway.
Yeah.
We're stalling, and I think you know why.
Because what the hell went wrong?
I don't know. I was fortunate enough not to watch the game live.
Same.
Because Zach and
over
we were
here.
at WFC too.
Yeah.
I was commentating, so I had a really good excuse.
I was avoiding listening to you on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea because there was some technical problems with the feed, and if you listen to it, I sound like a Dalek. So does Brendan Batchelor. It isn't just me, but They haven't had any technical issues with any of the WFC2 streams in their 3 seasons. I do a game and it all goes to pot, which that's been happening at TSS Rovers as well. So I'm starting to think that the technical thing... And
so it's not Steve's fault tonight.
Happened tonight. Something about a Scottish accent seems to send radio signals going all over the place. But we've delayed it long enough. We have to talk about the game in Chicago. The Windy City was not mighty pretty for Vancouver Whitecaps FC. 4-0 defeat, which I think was probably a little bit generous. It could easily have been 7, 8, 9, 10. We could have been saying, what was the time?
10 after.
Yeah. It was a tough showing. I mean, where do you even start? What's your overriding feeling coming out of that match?
You've heard, I'm sure you're familiar with the saying, like, if you can't say anything good, you
shouldn't say anything
at all.
Yeah, but we're on a radio show.
Yeah,
that's true.
Should say something.
So the one thing, the best thing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show.
So the best thing, I think, and I think I already told you this, but the best thing that came out of yesterday was you got a prediction right in terms of the outcome and the score.
Woo! 4-0, I said. Basing that on the Whitecaps putting out a weaker side... I guess they put out a weaker side. I mean, the formation and the lineup. Let's kick things off with that. It was good to see... I've nothing. It was good to see Christian Bolaños back in the lineup. Robo said this week when we asked him about it, he was still 1 to 2 weeks away. Initial reports in Costa Rica said he may be out until after the September qualifier,
which was odd for shoulders. Unless it's really serious.
Then there was all this stuff that he was undergoing, this new treatment that was going to. I mean, obviously it's a fantastic treatment. It gets you better in a couple of weeks.
We saw him a few days after he came back at the when they unveiled the new training center, and he was training at that day.
He was going hard.
Yeah, so
he was taking part in the scrimmages at training on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I had a hunch that he might be in the team. Then Instagram showed that he had travelled. I thought, though, at best he would be on the bench. And for me, big surprise that he was back in the team. He's still clearly not 100%, but yet he won man of the match. What does that say about the rest of the team?
They weren't going to give it to anybody defending.
No, and he did hit the post 6 minutes in.
Yeah. There was two chances inside the first 10 minutes that we actually...
Inside the first 6 minutes or so.
No, there was one like right before the 10 minute, before it hit, or before the 11th minute began. That were... Bolo was one, and I'm blanking on who the other was now because I don't think I wrote that down.
Teixeira had a...
Maybe that's what it was. Yes. Maybe that's what it was.
Well, that's the problem. When you find out what the score is and you're watching the game, you really kind of blank out on all the positives. That are happening.
When I had those first 30 minutes on,
you didn't know whether.
No, I was folding laundry. I was cleaning up the living room. Yeah. I was multitasking because it was kind of depressing.
I was trying to avoid the score, and then as I was leaving Langley. Yeah. All these tweets were saying, which one of you predicted 4-0? It's all your fault. And I was like, okay, this is clearly not going well. Check the score, then just listen to the second half and the radio coming in. Watched it last night. I was trying to stay up to watch the UBC game at 1 a.m, but then the link took me to some site that had so much Chinese stuff in it, I didn't know what I had to press, so I just had to shut that down. They lost 2-0. Another bad thing for a BC team this weekend. But they did get a silver medal, lost to a German team, so a very good weekend for Germany. But yeah, Bola back in the starting lineup, and maybe a surprise to some. We talked about it last week that we could see it happen. Bernie Abini gets his first start. Freddie Montero dropped to the bench. Zach probably celebrating.
Yeah, I think they might have done that because, like you were saying, they wanted to give Montero a rest.
Don't blame any of this on me.
Well, all of us were discussing about giving rest, and so giving Montero rest. Ibini did look good in the start against Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Minnesota.
Whatever you were going
That'd be fair. Yeah, you should see everybody's face when I said the start look good. No, he looked good, so maybe they were trying to see what he could do as a starter and give Montero a rest because there weren't nobody else that was going to take that position.
If you really want to give someone rest, do you really make them fly to Chicago, put him on the bench, and bring him on for 35 or 40, 35 minutes?
Came on at the 51-minute mark.
Right. Okay. So
at
40
that point,
minutes.
At that point, he was trying to make trying to get something. Although I can't believe he didn't make the changes at halftime.
But
why wait 6 minutes?
You can't say that a player was rest when they traveled all that way and then played 40 minutes.
I guess
that's not.
I mean, Bernie Abini auditioning for the remake of the Universal film The Invisible Man.
Now, was this had to do with service again, or was it just he just didn't show up at all?
Well, it was certainly a tough outing for him. And if you look at the stats, the delivery into crosses and passing in general was pretty poor.
Oh, yeah, especially when you compare it to Chicago's stats.
Yeah, I'm just going to whip this out just now.
He's got a piece of paper there.
That'll go over the stats.
He's whipping paper out, people.
So, Whitecaps had 40% possession. That's an improvement.
It beats the 26 point whatever. Yeah.
Although, considering they were 3 goals down so early on, and they still only had 40% possession,
that's not good.
Not a lot going to happen for them there.
They only won about 4. Usually they have 5-minute intervals. MLS shows they only won 4 of them during the whole game. 4 intervals.
That's more than it felt. Were those intervals after Chicago had left the pitch at halftime and full time?
It might have been.
79% passing accuracy. Chicago had 86. 56% accuracy in the final third.
And Chicago had 75.
And again, that 79 is way up from last week, right?
Yeah, and 12% accuracy on crosses. There is why we never saw Bernie Abini.
Yeah.
Poor lad.
They just couldn't get the ball to him at all.
Yeah. I think he possibly felt that he was in Tasmania and the rest of the team were on mainland Australia. Yeah. So it was to make him feel at home.
I guess so.
But he looked poor.
He had some okay runs. I'll give him that. The service obviously wasn't, like you said, wasn't good. There was a one play again with the service just needed to be a little bit better. Where there was an incredible ball, because there's not a lot of good things to talk about, but there was a really nice ball from a player we'll talk about more later. But Matthias Laba played a really nice long ball that we usually don't see. Pinpoint to the bug on the wing. The bug cut in and made a cross, and it was the keeper. Lamson beat Bernie to the ball, but it was a moment of like, okay, we actually almost created something.
That was one of the 13%.
Yes, yeah.
That was possibly the only one in the 13%. So let's quickly run through the goals, and then I want to go back to something else about the starting formation. But let's go through the goals. 14 minutes. We hit the post early on. We talked about Bola, long-range shot. Fantastic. He's still searching for this goal. He's done well with assists, but he's not in his goal-scoring self that he's had. But after that, Chicago took over. And 14 minutes gone. The man that you really want to watch bangs in a goal, 1-0 down, and Nikolic celebrating 15th goal of the season, writing already on the wall for the Whitecaps.
So it was a really beautiful ball from their left fullback to their right fullback.
Yeah.
And if you watch, I actually watch the halftime. I don't always watch the halftime when I'm watching things back on the PVR. And they actually broke, I think, might have been Terry Dunfield. I forget. Someone broke it down on the halftime and actually made a really good point. If you go back to the kind of the play before, Breck Shea actually does really well to help close down Matt Polster, who was playing right back. You might remember him. I think he used to play center mid for them before they bought in 3 center mids.
Yeah. Victoria Highlander is right as well.
So on the play before, Breck Shea does a really good job at helping Jordan Harvey close down Matt Polster on their right. Ball gets kind of back out in the middle. We have a clearance. Ball goes in the middle. Chicago goes one way, goes back the other way. They bring it to their left, and their left fullback does a beautiful cross-field ball to Matt Poulsen,
who was all by himself. So Breck wasn't helping there. Harvey wasn't there. When the ball went out, then Harvey went out, and for some reason, no one decided to mark the top goal scorer in the league. Yeah, and he just ghosted in and just easily finished. And for me, looking back on it, the back line went, it fell too deep, and there was no support from Matthias Laba on that one. Like, he did not pick up
like you said, the leading goal scorer in MLS.
Whenever there's a man free in the box, you look to see whose fault it is. And a lot of the time it is the midfielders that aren't tracking back because the defenders are getting pulled left, right and centre.
Yeah.
But you can't leave him wide open in the box. It's like, it's not as if they didn't know what he's been doing this season.
I'm sure he was part of the video package when they were discussing tactics on the field.
I hope they had a video package. It was kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
And then the second goal.
Yeah.
That was, again, I think it was Harvey passing it to Laba.
I kind of blocked that one out of my mind.
Matthias Laba gets is second best to Deleu. Their number.
That was the yes. That was
and again, you could tell right away as soon as you could almost feel Matty being like, "Oh crap, this is not."
It wasn't a great ball from Jordan. I mean, it was bouncing. It wasn't so much a pass as he just hit a ball.
Yeah,
and then Laba failed to control it, easily dispossessed by Skip to Deleu.
Yeah,
Skip
Deleu. Yeah. And so Matty was second best, and then Timmy was second best as well.
Yeah. Parker did not have a good game.
He got pushed off the ball very easily.
Well, we'll talk about some
the top scorer in the league.
Yeah.
A guy who's done it all in various places around the world. Strong center forward, and then just nice finish, kiss in off the post.
It didn't seem to take much though to push Parker off the ball. That was the worrying thing. He might have been a little bit off balance, but. Yeah, I mean, Parker against him, it's a battle that you always think Nikolic is going to do the business.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Even if Kendall Waston is playing, you still probably want Parker to match up with Nikolic for pace and for...
Yeah, but at least Kendall would have put a nice little elbow or a foot in outside the box.
And the thing is, even talking about that, about putting an elbow in, that's where you want to see Matthias Laba maybe commit a foul.
But he was nowhere near. He was nowhere near because he'd already...
not that one earlier.
Oh, yeah.
On Deleu. So that the ball doesn't even get to that point because it was wide open.
I think he tried that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
So 2 goals down, you're thinking, that's okay, the Caps were 2 goals up last week and we saw a team fight back. Nothing to worry about. Everyone comes back. 2 goals, the most dangerous lead in football. Then 3 goals, the most dangerous lead in football. And what a strike by Alvarez.
Yeah.
But again, another goal with another player unmarked at the back post because of a defensive breakdown.
Yeah, it was not good. Matt Pulser again. He gets on the ball, faces little pressure. Harvey's caught out by an overlap and kind of shifts to the left, and then he just has another moment to look up and see like, oh, Jake has tucked in, and
because Parker had gone to where Harvey should have been.
Right.
But the thing is,
the whole thing shifted.
Down.
Yes.
Yeah. So then Nowinski moved down, and then Alvarez is like, I can't believe it. Tons of room.
It was almost like he put up both hands and waved. Hey, I'm over here.
But the issue was for me, and I don't know what happened just before that. But why was Jacobson not getting back in line with his back line? He was almost like standing there as a midfielder instead of being. I don't know if something switched off. And he didn't realize he was put at central defender.
I don't think it would have mattered, though. I mean, it was a fantastic pass to find Alvarez, and the finish.
No, but the thing is,
fantastic.
If Nowinski was at least close by, he might have put a little pressure on the shot, on Alvarez's shot, and maybe it affects the way he strikes it. When you're all alone, you have time to strike. You're going to strike it like that.
Yeah, but 3 goals at half time. But then they are going to win the World Cup, so at least you have to give them that. But
they did lose.
Schweinsteiger?
They lost Basti to a groin, or I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, that could be a big loss for them.
Yeah.
But
what do you mean could be?
It is.
We don't know how long he's going to be out for.
Right. Okay.
Because there's a big break coming up, so they've got time for him to kind of recover.
The thing is, old groins tend to heal take longer to heal.
Oh, tell me about it. But half time, 3 goals down.
Make some substitutions.
Yeah. I don't really understand why you wait 6 minutes into the second half to make your double substitution. Were you wanting to see if you could somehow get something out of these guys, or
the thing is, did Montero need that 6 minutes of rest?
The squad was tired from our Voyageurs Cup victory midweek. Oh no, wait, no, that wasn't us.
No.
Yeah, that wasn't us. Sorry, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's not mention that. Although it's nice to see another team screwed over in stoppage time. Don't feel so bad now. No, I do still feel bad, but
in extra stoppage.
Yeah. I think if we had extra stoppage time, I'm not 100% sure we would even have got a shot on target in that second half that would have troubled Chicago. But I mean, Montero came on, then Reyna came on for his debut, and it was great to see Reyna back. And
he had a chance at least.
Yeah, he looked good.
He
and
had one
Montero
moment.
did have a couple of chances.
Yeah,
There were chances created.
Yeah.
Mosquito even created, I think, a chance down there.
Which again,
was the other sub, of course.
part of that is also because we're losing 3-0, right?
Yeah.
Like there's more space, there's more time.
Although still only 40% possession over the whole match, so kind of baffling with that.
No, but
It's the way we play. It's
that
counter-attacking.
that doesn't speak to chances created,
No, I
and
know.
there definitely were far more in the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the third goal for Chicago, 15 passes involved in the build-up to that, which kind of shows how much they were controlling the game. So we were starting to get some chances in the second half. As we said, Reyna came on. He looked good. It was nice to see him maybe in a game where he's not pressured to have to do much because the game was gone by that point. So, I mean, these guys are coming back. You do kind of have to wonder, Reyna, I don't think, is coming back too early. Did Bola come back too early? Did they kind of force that on him?
Well, we were talking about this. Someone asked us on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And the day of the game, and I don't know if he's come back too early. Obviously, we hope he hasn't. But in terms of those speculative tweets or whatever that were put out about, oh, he's not going to come back till September. I never thought that was ever the case.
No, not with
based
the
on those times we saw him.
Yeah.
Training and stuff, or training in the weight room or whatever, like doing all the exercises and stuff he was doing. It was like, this is not going to take till September to come back from.
No.
So hopefully he doesn't take that long.
No, I mean, and Reyna. We've got Reyna, Mosquito, they both came on. They're back from injury. On the bench, Kristen Dean back from injury. Eric Hurtado back from injury. So things are starting to turn around, if we want to take some positives from that. And these guys got some minutes in that second half.
What did you think from Reyna when he came on? He was onto the left.
Yeah, they're going to have to try and find a place for him to fit into the team.
I think maybe they put him on the left for now because he's coming back from injury. They don't want to put him in the middle and get him into where all the mess and messy defending happens and all that stuff. Give us some space initially when you're coming back.
Well, and of course at that point he would have been in the middle alone with Maddie, right? It would have been just him and Maddie in the middle. So they put Bola in the middle instead and put him on the left. Yeah, and that's where his one chance came from. He cut in from the left. He played a ball through the middle. And it kind of came back out for him, and then he tested the keeper, which was, those moments were few and far between in the match.
So both teams were having chances, but then, you can't even say a turning point. Then a moment happened in the 78th minute. Matty Laba, red mist, whatever, terrible tackle.
He's just basically almost just cleats up and everything when he went down.
So did you hear it on the radio? How did you hear? For me, I heard about it.
I heard it on the radio.
Okay, I didn't.
And then I came home and I watched it, and it was probably worse than I think they described it on the radio.
Yeah, see, at first, to be honest, I've got to be honest. At first, I heard, I knew the game was being officiated by Ishmael Elfat.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I heard Matthias Laba sent off.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh, how can,
And Robbo joked afterwards that, I always joke that we have... we always play with 10 men with this referee, and we're going to hear from Robbo very soon. But yeah, because the radio guys was like, and referee Elfath sends off Laba, and I was like, oh, this is another shocking, terrible decision. How can they do this? It's incredible. It should probably only be a booking. Then you go home and you see him going in from behind. The ball's away, his studs are up, right into the back of the guy's ankle.
The ankle calf,
It
was bad.
And the thing is, the referee, when he's showing the red card, he's like, don't even argue with me.
Yeah.
There's no point.
I think Laba...
He didn't really argue much. He just gave him one of those, are you for real? And then he was gone.
Yeah.
The most frustrating thing is, you're losing 3-0. You have an important home game 4 days later. That was not the time to get sent off.
No.
He's a destroyer.
He is. And then
he destroyed.
Chicago just turned it up, wanting to give me my 4-0 prediction. Had a couple of chances. DeLue didn't look like he was going to get his chance.
He didn't look like he was going to take his chance.
No, it looked like it had gone down the pan. And then fourth goal comes. What was it? The 86th minute,
84th
minute.
Yeah.
6 minutes to go. Fourth goal. Yeah.
It was. I mean, you mentioned the passing or build up to it, but like it was
14 passes for this one.
It was a nice. It wasn't. I mean, considering there was, it was 10v11. It was a nice. It was a nice 1-2 on the top of the box, kind of inside left channel, like perfectly played. Poorly or not very well defended, sure, but it was a nice play and a nice finish side foot into the far corner.
And that was it. That was all she wrote. So let's hear a little bit now from the two head coaches. We'll hear from Carl Robinson first, and then we'll hear from Paunović from Chicago Fire, a guy I like a lot, as we talked about last week. So let's hear what they had to say after the match.
Obviously, a quality side and two guys missing, and the quality's still there with them. I mean,
Yeah, they're a good team. They took their chances. We made some basic fundamental errors, which you can't do against a good team. Arguably, they're the most informed team at the moment, and you can see why. So credit to Chicago. They deserve the 3 points today, but we need to be better.
I think you got off to a good start, though. I mean, you had some chances there. You hit the post. I mean,
Yep.
You had the other one in the 10th minute there.
The game is about fine lines. But the first goal usually is crucial. We had a chance probably before they scored, but the first goal is a bad goal from our point of view. The second, the third, and then the fourth we're chasing. But said no complaints from me. They are the better team today. They deserve their 3 points, and we have to go back to thinking about Wednesday.
You know, you have to keep it tight against them. I mean, they're moving the ball side to side. They get free, Polster on one end.
Yeah.
How do you contain that, on the other end?
Well, we didn't contain it today, so I can't tell you how. It's really important. I think, obviously, the key players for them, Juninho and Bastian, they run the game. We tried to stop that. Once the first goal goes in, the dynamic of the game changes, and it's important. Part of our game plan was to stay in the game, and the longer it goes, we feel we could hurt them. And we did have chances. We didn't take any, but they deserve a lot of credit today. They're in form.
Looking at halftime, what do you tell your team? And you made the changes in 51. What do you do there?
Try and win the second half. Very rarely a team that's losing 3-0 comes back to win the game. I wanted the next goal to make it interesting, and we had a couple of chances with Freddie when he came on. But as the game wore on towards the latter part of the game, obviously then where it's a counter-attacking game, and it was either going to be us or them who scored the fourth goal, and credit to them, they did.
If there's a positive, getting some guys back. So first off, Nico, you put him in longest stretch for him in a long time. Talk about what you saw with him.
Energy,
the options,
attitude, and energy, and that's what we didn't have in the first half. We were there, we were running beside people, but we weren't making contact. We were probably playing in second gear. The old adages put it, and we can't do that. This league is very tight. So no points today. It is 3 points that we've lost, but we need to learn from it.
After the loss Wednesday, how do you think the team responded? Obviously, the result was good today, but did you see that coming? The team was ready to bounce back today?
Yeah. As I said in Spanish before, we had to work a lot on the mentality of the group, and actually this team, this win today helps us as a staff also and as a team to understand that everything what we were saying and preaching, that it's possible. It was about the mentality, about how we rest, how we prepare, and what we believe. And today I think we shifted very well from the loss that we had. Actually, we lost on penalties, which is different than you would have lost in some different way. But it was for us. It was very important to see it, that it's possible to recover after 120 minutes in just a couple of days, be ready to perform like we performed today. Fantastic performance, fantastic mood. Mentality was great, and that's how the great teams play. But we still have to work a lot to become a great team. We have to prove now in the next game. Portland's going to be a great test for us, and we have to keep the mentality that we have now and play the way we were playing so far.
I fell in love again. All things go, all things go. Drove to Chicago. All things know, all things know.
Thoughts of the coaches there? If you had fine lines on your bingo card from Robbo, you can have a drink or tick that one off.
2 drinks.
Yeah. Threw that in a couple of times during the week as well. I just think he's doing this on purpose now. I told him all about the bingo card, and he said, "Oh, I'd like to see that." I haven't shown it to him.
Okay. But I'm sure he found it somewhere online.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nathan's probably shown it to him by now. I was hoping to wrap up all the talk about the Chicago game.
Wait, what? We're going to talk about that more?
Just a little bit about some of the players. Tim Parker didn't have a great showing out there. One of his worst performances of the season. How much of that is down to not having a recognised centre-back beside him, and he's maybe feeling he has to do a lot more, or he's kind of covering positions that he maybe wouldn't do if Kendall was in there, or even Christian Dean was in there with him?
I think it finally caught up because they were faced such a strong attack.
Yeah.
And I think that, and especially such a goal scorer that they have and everything, I think that eventually it will catch up. And hopefully it doesn't repeat itself this upcoming game. But yeah, I don't think you could put it all on him, but I agree with you. It was definitely not his strongest game.
I think one of the things that Chicago is good at this year is their attack their attack. I think is a little bit varied. So they were playing balls over the top. They were going through the middle. They were happy to come from both flanks. And yeah, I think the first thing you have to say when you talk about a player like Tim Parker and his performance in this match is the quality of opposition was probably if not the best, one of the best we played this year.
Yep. Jake Nerwinski, another one who didn't have a fantastic game. Out of position a lot. Just caught struggling a little bit defensively. And Shannon Williams is obviously cleared now to rejoin the team. Didn't train at all with him this week. Didn't travel to Chicago. Cleared to play. Do you put him back in the starting lineup right away?
Are we talking, or are we going to talk about that? I guess there's nothing to talk about in other than the fact that
he's available.
Other than the statement, the non-detailed statements.
We're waiting to see whether Shannon makes a statement himself
right,
or the club make a statement himself. I've had discussions with a couple of people about that. I've expressed my opinion that he needs to come out and make some kind of public statement for two purposes. One, to clear things up as best or as much as he's able to, but also to take the pressure off him, because if he doesn't, you know that there's certain media in this town, news media, that will try and speak to him and try and ask questions. And
that's what I'm saying. Like he has to make a statement, and whether it's sit down in front of mics or at training or whatever they want to do.
I'm fine with a written statement. Like, I don't feel we have to hear him make the statement.
People are going to demand to hear from him, and because written statements are always deemed as who wrote this.
And we know who, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they're going to. So they want to know what he actually. Even that, whatever he says, he's going to be coached on that by whoever deals with that.
As they always are.
Ultimately, I believe it is going to be down to the club to make the decision whether they have him do that or not.
So, okay, putting the media aside, like, do you think there'll be pushback from some people in the stadium?
I think there will be, just because that's the nature of the support here in Vancouver. Is very inclusive, which is not a bad thing. I'm not trying to make that out to be a bad thing. But Southsiders, Curva, general people, they're anti-racist, they're anti-homophobia, they're anti-domestic abuse, anti-violence to women.
Which is all good things to be anti-against.
There's
we should make that.
Yeah. Again, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've supported causes. They've made statements in the past about things. There is going to be elements in the fan base that are not happy if he comes straight back into the team.
Yeah, but there will be casuals who won't really pick up on what's going on.
There are, of course, there'll be people who don't know.
So there'll be some
people
mixture.
That don't care one way or the other as well. Yeah. So there is a mixture, and there will be some, and it's just how many fall into that category.
Yeah.
Which is why I think a statement would also help.
It would definitely help, yeah.
So getting back to Jake,
Yeah.
and we kind of already said it, but no one in the squad covered himself in glory in this match,
No.
and I think there's things in Jake's performance that he'll grow from and learn from. Defensive positioning, I think, is a really big one.
Yeah.
Being in line, there wasn't just the goal that was scored later. The goal that was scored, there was a play later on in the second half where Solinac, he kind of put him off, but he still got the shot, and Nosted made the save. But he basically played everyone on side by being so deep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's growing. Again, we were playing a good team. Yeah, if a more veteran person's available under the right circumstances, I wouldn't be surprised to see that person start ahead of him. And for him, hopefully, this is just another part of his developing and growing.
So that will bring us now on to the next game that is coming up. Wednesday, things do not get much easier. New York City FC.
Another prolific team.
Man City Light.
Yeah.
Another Eastern Conference team. Third in the Eastern Conference. And a team they've done well on the road. They've got 4 wins, 4 defeats from their 9 games. They're sitting on 33 points from their 18 games. 10 wins, only 5 defeats. 34 goals from those 18 games and only 21 against. So we know the names that they have. We know the firepower that they have. Looking at some of that just now, like leading the way, David Villa, or David Villa, as I like to call him. Aston, as he's known to his friends. He's leading the way, 11 goals, 6 assists. Jack Harrison, 8 goals, 5 assists. Rodney Wallace, 4 goals, 5 assists. Maxi Morales, 2 goals, 7 assists. And the reason I've highlighted those 4 is they've got players that they're contributing by scoring, they're contributing by assisting with the scoring. Yeah. We do not have that.
No, not at this point. They seem to be. I think they're. What formation do they play? I think they play
like a 4-3-3.
Yeah,
I think
And I think Harrison's
we know Villa's class.
Yeah, and Harrison's right up there with Wallace up there. So they attack like you said, Man City type, and Villa will be the big thing that they have to stop. And that's where,
assuming he comes, because you never know. But he has played here before.
I think he'll come. I don't think this is a Thierry Henry situation.
To credit to New York City for whatever you feel about them for reasons about who owns them and stuff like that, they have brought their star players here. Sometimes because they've had to, because it was like they were fighting for their lives. But 2 years ago when they came, they brought all their stars. They didn't rest them,
and they won the game.
Yeah, those guys didn't say
them and the referee won the game.
Yeah. They're like, I'm not playing on that turf. So I would expect to see them here. They're going into a break, so
yeah. One of the things that is really interesting to watch. It can be both nice, and it can also be a bit of a debacle, or it was, especially last year, in its growing pains. Is the way Patrick Vieira coaches his side to always play the ball out of the back. So there are very few times where you'll see the defenders or defensive midfielders from NYCFC just hoof it or just clear it or just like last ditch. They
play nice football.
Yeah, and last year especially there was, like I said, there were some growing pains to that were really painful, but I think it's paid off, and I think the football that they play is mostly, especially for MLS, is fairly enjoyable to watch.
It is. I mean, Jack Harrison, he was highly touted last year when he was taken in the draft, and then New York City dealt to make sure that they brought him back to New York. And he had a fairly good rookie season, but he's really starting to find his feet in the league and growing into the player that everyone said he was going to do. So he's a danger man as well. But the fact that these assists are just coming from all over the pitch, it's not a case that the Caps...
They don't rely on one player to set up the goals or to score them. Well, they kind of rely on one player to score most of them, but...
But that then throws the question open to how do the Whitecaps deal with that? And a question was put to Robbo of how do you defend against how do you contain a team like Chicago?
And he said, well, we didn't.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you.
Well, we clearly didn't. You're asking the wrong person. Maybe they want to give Alan Koch a call to see how to contain a team called Chicago.
That was a little bit different.
Yeah, they only got a draw.
It was a one-off game. Yeah. It was a one-off game, and
don't knock that. That was a fantastic.
No, it was. It was great achievement. But
Yes.
you also got to take the context.
I know. But lining up for this one, how do you see the Caps lining up? 4-1-4-1 has been effective at shutting teams down. We are missing Laba. Tybert's away with Canada. One thing actually, which I was going to mention earlier on, this is a good time to mention it. The Whitecaps took, as far as I know, all their guys through to Chicago. So Bustos travelled, McKendry travelled, Kyle Gregg travelled, Cole Seiler travelled. So all those guys did not play for WFC2 at the game at the weekend. Bit disappointing. Obviously, they were touch and go to see which one of these players that were injured could make the thing. But McKendry and Bustos are two guys that this could be a game that they've got a chance of getting in. Because if you want to go for a 4-1-4-1 and shut down the midfield, McKendry is a great person to do that with Tybert and Laba missing. But at the same time, it's a big ask to put him against those kind of star-studded players.
Yeah, I don't see that happening in this game. I don't think Robbo would want to put them, especially both of them.
When do you play him? And
I
when
don't
do you
know.
play these other guys? That's the thing.
The thing is, there's been opportunities before, and they haven't played him.
Yeah,
I really would love to see Marco at some point play behind one or two strikers in a 10 role as opposed to a wide, and I understand why he hasn't. I do think this match, like you said, Michael, there is a higher probability or possibility that Ben could get some time with both Rusty and Matty out, and AJ most likely playing center back.
Well,
playing center back.
Yeah, a lot's going to depend, I guess, if Christian Dean is deemed good to start a game.
Yeah,
which is a massive risk as well, because he should have been getting minutes, I feel, in that WFC2 game at the weekend.
You
can have Cole Seiler on the bench instead of Dean.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. If he was ready to go, that's a perfectly good point there. That Christian Dean should have started this weekend against Seattle instead of traveling.
And is that not unfair to put Christian Dean coming back from this injury?
Yeah, totally.
In one sense, I'm sure he would want to play. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but it's a bit unfair to have his
he was
return.
Playing the scrimmages this week and looking good and going in for tackles.
Yeah,
fell over at one point, but that was just he lost his balance. We were all like, oh, it's like, oh, it's okay.
I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he comes in and they push AJ back into midfield. But even if they do, there's still potentially room for Ben McKendry in there.
I don't know.
I kind of see them putting, if they're going to stay 4-1, I kind of see them putting Chani in Laba's spot and putting somebody else, maybe a Mosquita and Rain up top or Bolaños or something. They have to figure out something up top. Maybe McKendry. Maybe a McKendry in the front line.
Right. Yeah. So if they're going to return to the 4-1-4-1, you couldn't see them playing Chani, AJ, and Ben in the middle.
That's not AJ. Well, if Christian Dean does come back, sure. But I'm assuming he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have this hunch that they'll put Dean in and see how it goes, because you can always have Seiler on the bench to come on if need be, or move AJ back and then bring Ben on or something like that.
Dean has scrimmaged, obviously,
yeah,
right?
And so he's just not up to match fitness. But then he's on the bench. So if anything had happened that he had to come on, you have to feel he was deemed good to go to get that bench spot ahead of Seiler.
But he hasn't had match practice. That's the...
Yeah. And against that dangerous front line, I just think that would be disastrous. So there's two ways of looking at it. You've got, do you keep AJ at the back? Do you put him in the middle? I think we are going to see 4-1-4-1. And Reyna did well in the time that he had. 28 minutes plus stoppage time he had. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get the start on Wednesday.
And then move Bolaños in the middle, or?
Possibly. If you keep Jacobson at the back, Chani in the holding role, and then you have Bolaños and Reyna as the two guys in the middle, Shea on one side, Teixeira on the other, Montero up front.
That's crazy attacking, Michael. With no Matias Laba.
The best form of defence is attack.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't be disappointed to see that tried out, but one, we've never ever seen that those players play together, which is obviously Reina's coming back and whatever. But like that would be a little bit crazy.
To me, if you're going to put Reina in the middle, you got to put a guy like Mosqueda next to him who can maybe help out defensively a little bit.
True. Even him ahead of Reina. Like keep Reina for another cameo off the bench.
Yeah, maybe do that.
If Nico got longer.
Yeah.
So it could be that he's further ahead. And Nico's defensive play is good. He's just not been fantastic when he's been a starter, as we've talked about before. But yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Nico's not going to be a defense he's not going to track back all the time, but he's going to be applying pressure to those guys before they get into the middle and into attacking.
I think, I don't really want to move on, but I think if we're going to go 4-1-4-1, it needs to be a very defensive center to that. So it needs to be like AJ, Tony, and Ben in there. Otherwise, I see them going 4-2-3-1.
That's a possibility.
Where you have more cover for the back line.
I think they might need to do that until Wasta gets back to
4-5-1. Just go completely defensive.
4-6-0.
Just leave Freddie even more isolated up top. So, what's your predictions heading into this one? You confident?
No, I don't think so. Not with that deep breath and sigh he let out there.
I know. Zach has left the Optimus Union. He's handed his card back in.
I never was a part of the Optimus Union. But no, like
I wasn't either. That
like last week when I said 3-0 or 3-1, like
yeah, you were wrong.
Well, right. I was wrong about the score, but I was right about the result.
Yeah.
And going to this game, it feels hard to see us getting anything out of it.
Yeah. Scoreline?
Let's say 3-1.
3-1 again. Steve?
I'll go, just to be a little different, 2-1 Vancouver.
Okay, I feel I'm on a roll at the moment. So 4-0 New York City.
Oh, man.
David Villa hat-trick.
Steve,
those tweets about Robbo out, some of the people that sent that out, that might start really gaining momentum if that happens again.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, honestly, are you trying to be contrarian? Are you hoping? You dreaming?
The Whitecaps sometimes when they get smashed like this, they usually come back and they bounce back when nobody's expecting it. And that's where I would put if I were putting money on it, I would put money that way because it'd be good odds. Basically, you get very good odds for them to win this game.
If we can even get a point out of this, I think I would be happy. And Robbo talked in the audio there that players now have to look over their shoulders. And if the Whitecaps are looking not so much over their shoulders, but looking ahead at what is coming up, it's a horrible July yet again. They've got a break after Wednesday for 2 weeks, but then they come back from that break with a nice easy trip to StubHub Centre.
Yep.
LA, Wednesday, July 19th.
Then 4 days later.
Yeah, 4 days later at home to Portland, Cascadia Derby.
And then 6 days later.
Dallas away.
FC Dallas away. Yeah. And then that's the start of our traditional end of July, start of August, horrible heat road trip. Dallas away, Colorado away. Well, New England, I don't know how hot it will be.
Oh, it does get hot there.
Yeah, but they're going to be away. So they've got one game at home after Wednesday out of their next 5. Tall task. Now, in April, when they were going on their massive road trip, I predicted they would get 0 points, and they came home with 6. Looking at these fixtures, I think they'll beat Portland. I just think they will beat Portland.
I think they just need to get away from you for training or something like that. Maybe that's the key.
Robbo did say, I can't remember after what game it was on a Saturday, and then I think they had a break or something, and he said, I'm just glad to get away from you for 2 weeks.
I agree with you that I think we'll take something from the Portland game, and it better be a win.
New England, I could see us getting something from.
And they might get repeat their victory in Colorado as well. You never know.
The start of the Whitecaps revolution against the revolution. That's what it's going to be. Alan Koch leading the team. No, only kidding. If they don't do well though in this summer, the fan reaction this weekend online
has it been bad?
Was a little bit over the top, considering right now. You look at the table.
People had Robbo at 3-0.
Well, people had Robbo out 3 games into the season.
Yeah.
1 game into the season, I think a few of them had him out. The Caps, they're 7th. They're still in 7th spot. They're 1 point back of the playoff spots. They've had all these players out injured. I'm not making apologies for them because some of the performances, including Saturday, were woeful.
Yeah. But they've had really surprising performances too in some of those games.
It's going to take a bit of time for these players to come back and get up to speed, up to match fitness, but also to get some chemistry going. And you have to allow a couple of games to do that. If we're still looking woeful middle of August, I'm going to worry a little bit. You look at who is in the playoff positions right now in the West, and it's every team that you think is going to be there. The only one out with that might get in, apart from us, hopefully, would be Seattle. So then you're looking at who's going to drop out, and it's only really San Jose or Houston. Because Houston's on a downward spiral now.
So I know we're not meant to talk about this now, but this is...
But you will.
But this is in part, I think... This is one of the things I've heard as I've read some of the online frustration this weekend, is after people have been frustrated about the match and the score and the tactics and the coaching and the ownership and the football committee and all these things, one of the things that I've heard people come back to is the fact that the expectations for the season from the football committee, and really, in one sense, also from, I think, the technical staff, is we just need to get in the playoffs. And there's kind of like this sense of like when you set the bar so low, to come 6 out of 10 or whatever, when you set the bar so low, you're not striving for. There's this lack of striving for excellence in what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, but it's the stupidity of North American soccer that relies so heavily on the playoffs that I'm of the opinion that I don't care what we do during the regular season. You get in. You save your best football for the playoffs, and you win the whole thing.
But that's football isn't like that. You don't save your best football for the playoffs.
No, but you have to hope that you. Well, right, maybe not save, but you have to hope that you bring your best football in the playoffs.
Yeah, or you can just always be playing good football. You can build up to playing.
There's the revolution we're talking about. It's the new way of looking at things.
But that's the thing. When the bar is so low, of like, hey, we just got in the playoffs. It's like, okay, well.
It's got me thinking like that as well. It's like, it's fine. We just have to sneak into.
That's I don't know. That's disheartening.
They can't be below the bar. They can't be above the bar. They have to set the bar. They have to be the bar.
Nice. # be the bar. So we talked about all the players that are coming back, and there's still a few more to come back from injury. One guy that we're really looking forward to seeing on the pitch pretty soon is Brett Levis. Still a few weeks away, but we need somebody that's going to come in and challenge Jordan Harvey for this left-back position, and right now there's nobody doing that. So hopefully Brett's going to come in and do that. I had a good chat with him at training this week. A lot of things just about his recovery and kind of being held up as the poster boy for Saskatchewan football. A little bit of chat about the Canadian Premier League as well. Here's Brett Levis. So first thing, Brett, you're back out there training, you're moving about well, but how's the injury rehab going?
It's going really well. My knee's starting to feel a lot better. It's starting to feel more like normal. I would say more like my other knee, which is obviously a positive because you want everything to feel in symmetry and everything like that. But it's definitely nice to get involved again. When you're rehabbing so much and you're not so much involved in the group, it's you become a little bit isolated. But the guys, especially the older guys and the good friends on the team, have done a really good job at keeping an eye on me. Asking me how rehab's going, how's the injury coming along, and whatnot. And the physios obviously have been excellent. I've been working hand in hand with Jake probably the most, and he's awesome day in, day out, making sure that I'm doing every little thing properly in the way it should be, and making sure that this is just a one-time thing.
The last that we heard was they were targeting maybe late July or at least the summer for you coming back. Is there a timescale on that yet, or is it still just week by week?
Yeah, we're just taking it slow. Again, this is it's a process. It's a long-term injury, and we want to make sure that it's a one-time thing. So we haven't put a target date, or I haven't heard a set date, and I'm okay with that, because if I don't make that date, then I might be upset and whatnot. So I'm just gonna continue to grind out this process and continue to get stronger and stronger and more fit, and when I do come back, I'll be hopefully stronger, fitter, better than ever. What other time in your life do you get 8 to 9 months to strictly work on your body? With the season so long, it's so grueling that you don't have the time to actually necessarily work on your body. A lot of times you're just recovering and getting ready for that next game, whereas again, I had 8 months to work with physios, work with strength trainers, work with fitness coaches, and get at my hopefully my optimal level when I'm back. So it has been tough, but that's the way you got to look at it, because if you just dwell on it, you're never going to end up anywhere.
So just rewinding a bit, you made your MLS debut last game of the season. You get the injury at the same time. Is it kind of mixed emotions to that whole day, or do you still look back as a proud moment of actually making your debut?
You know what, I haven't actually thought about it too much. The one time I probably thought about it most was when there was a city in Saskatchewan, Yorkton, where they have a big soccer club there, and they invited me back while the team was traveling on a away trip. I believe it was back in March, and they had me speak at that. And when I was thinking of the speech or writing the speech, I actually wrote that it was probably the highest point in my career when I stepped on the field. To 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, when the physios told me that I tore my ACL, to probably the lowest point in my career. So the emotions were definitely mixed, and I haven't really even thought about it, too much. I have my debut jersey. I had it in my room, just hanging on a hook, nothing big, anything like that. And the other day, I put it on a hanger and I hung it up on my wall, and I was like, you know what, I am extremely proud of that moment. It's taken me an extremely long time, and it's not only big for me. I'm just, again, what you spoke about earlier, I'm just very proud and happy to know that the younger kids in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon are looking up to me. And for me, there wasn't a ton of people to look up to. There was some university guys. There was the odd guy that older guy that I kind of heard, or this or that's been involved in the national team and whatnot. But to be the first, Saskatchewan born and raised soccer player who grew up there, in the club systems, in the provincial system, to make my MLS debut, and again, to be the first was amazing. So.
Yeah, we spoke to Thomas Hassel, and he had said the same thing. So many guys look at your progress and they know, look, just because we're from Saskatchewan, it doesn't mean that we're not going to make it. Opportunities obviously aren't huge there. There is talk that there might be a Canadian Premier League team going to Regina, Saskatoon even. What would that mean for the province, but for the young players coming through to actually have a professional club there?
I think it would be amazing. Again, what you said, when I was coming through the system, you hit this point where there wasn't a ton else you could do to progress other than moving away. So for me, I moved out west. Again, you've probably heard this, or I had to move out west. I moved to Victoria to play PDL there, and that was kind of how I broke through. And even with that, my coach, Bryce Chapman, who runs the Whitecaps Academy in Saskatchewan, who's done, again, can't speak enough on him. He was my coach growing up and whatnot, and he's done so much for the province, for the program, for the now they have that clear pathway with the academy and whatnot. But when I went to Highlanders, they didn't even know who I was there. My coach had to vouch for him, swear by it, that I was that I could play at that level, whatnot. And fortunately, I did extremely well there. I did well, especially when we played the Whitecaps. So that's kind of what brought me over to the Whitecaps at that time. As you probably know, I was more of a number 10 winger, and then this whole transformation to left back. But again, it's having a professional team there would be amazing. The MLS is growing every single year, and in order for it to grow, even bigger, and in Canada, it needs some competition. So I think it's excellent.
Like the PDL this year. New PDL club in here, TSS Rovers, I've been doing a lot of stuff with them. That level of play and the opportunity to put yourself in the shop window, obviously it's important to your career, but what's looking back at that time, what do you feel about that league and the opportunities that it actually gave you?
Honestly, again, from where I was from, any opportunity was better than what I had in terms of who would see me. So the PDL was awesome. I thought it was a great opportunity to be able to play some teams that were in the States, and at the time it was Victoria was an independent club, and I was able to go and play Seattle Sounders 2, and And there's different teams, and even when I was progressing through that, I heard rumors when I went and played S2 that Ziggy Schmidt came down to watch me one game. I heard rumors after the Western Conference Final, I did really well. We were down in LA, and I heard that LA Galaxy was interested in supporting Kansas City, and all of a sudden when I was at that, I was like, these are MLS clubs, holy crap. Like, I had no idea, you know what I mean? So the exposure is awesome, and realistically, that's what brought me to Vancouver, right? They seen me play. I played against them, played with them the following year, and then, progressed through the ranks in Vancouver. But I think it's a great opportunity. I have a couple friends that went from University of Saskatchewan and played in the PDL in Calgary Foothills, and that opens the door and gives them good opportunities.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time, Brett, and we look forward to seeing you back in the pitch soon.
I appreciate
it. Thanks. Good luck with it.
When the world falls apart, something's starting place. Levi stops, tears run down his face.
We heard from Brett Levis. Hopefully back on the pitch soon. He's so enthusiastic. There's a lot of players I enjoy speaking to within the Whitecaps, and there's a lot of guys you really root for, and Brett is one
Definitely
of those guys. And
good Canadian boy.
Hopefully breaking into the Whitecaps first team and becoming a Canadian international as well. That would just be the full journey for him.
Yeah, he's a quality fellow. Head on his shoulders. Has worked really hard to get where he is, and I think is going to continue to work hard to make the breakthrough.
And if he does make the breakthrough to the national team at some point, not putting any pressure on you, Brett, we want to get you back in the Caps team first of all. But like I say, it would just complete the journey. And we'll be back with more chat after this.
That was a good-looking cross when it started out, but it didn't get all the way through, and it's knocked away. And here comes Martin Nash with lots of room, and he's got Garrett Cush, and he's also got Richard Hastings, and here comes Hastings, if he can get a shot at it, and he scores for Canada! Richard Hastings has won it for Canada, who are through to the semifinals. Do you believe it?
And Martin Nash with, again, the cross from the right found Richard Hastings, who had a great first touch and roofed it.
Unbelievable turn of events. Canada, unbeaten in 9, have just knocked off the 10th ranked country in the world. Oscar Perez is stupefied. They can't play football in this country, you say? Ask the Mexicans that now after looking at this. Richard Hastings, a great shot on a great feed.
Whitecaps have 4 players away with the Canadian national team just now.
Yeah, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but it was a very noticeable lack of Alfonso.
Yeah, he's the guy that you expect to come off the bench and do pick the game up if he's not starting, and definitely wasn't there.
Yeah.
And those guys are away with Canada for the Gold Cup campaign that's coming up. Heard some fantastic audio there from the 2000 Gold Cup.
It's quarterfinal against Mexico.
Back in 2000, the only time that Canada has won the Gold Cup.
So far.
A lot of legendary players in that squad. And of course, that squad and the 1986 World Cup squad are the two teams that are held up as the greatest Canadian national team squads of all time.
Not much to pick from, but yes, for sure.
Yeah. And Steve, you were working very hard last week. You did our residency list, but we'll come to that later. But you were working on a fantastic project.
I wish I had thought of it a little earlier, so I had more time to work on it, but I had to put on it really quickly.
You were kind of putting in 25-hour days, I think, doing this.
Yeah.
But you polled a lot of experts, local writers, national writers, avid supporters, ex-players.
Yeah, it was a good mixture. And as long as... and I didn't want to just do West Coast because then you're going to get a lot of West Coast bias in there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get a lot of people in the East or from the prairies, the Black Hole guys. They helped out. And the guys from Red Nation Soccer, they helped out. So it was a good mixture of people.
And we came up with a top 10 of all-time Canadian men and all-time Canadian women players. And we're going to cover the women players next week, because next week is kind of a Canadian women's national team special episode of the podcast. With the Whitecaps being away, the women will play. And we've got some chats with Jordan Heitema,
Yep.
Stephen Reid, new CSA president, and John Herdman as well. But we want to talk a little bit about the results of the top 10 men's poll. And a lot of players that took part in either the 1986 World Cup or the 2000 Gold Cup win. And some surprises, but a lot of close contests as well, Steve.
Especially at the top. We'll talk about that first, obviously. The top two spots were just neck and neck. It was.
Wait, we're starting at the top.
Why not start
You got to start at the bottom.
Yeah, you have to go 10 to 1.
Okay, fine. Well, everybody's already. Most people have seen the article. Obviously, actually, 10 and 11, there was somebody who almost made the top 10 and just missed out by very little, and that was Dominic Mobilio. Number 10 was Dale Mitchell. I think it was a 2-point difference or something. So if one person extra had voted for Dominic, it would have probably made a difference.
Is this a good time to tell you that I forgot to fill in my poll?
What is wrong with you?
I've had a very busy weekend.
Yeah, it has been a busy for him. And a busy week, if you think of it that way.
So where would you put Dom, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I wanted to do more research and look at stats and stuff. That's why I didn't vote.
Maybe a good thing he didn't vote, because it would have been this way we can say it's all Canadian votes.
I'm also very biased with goal scorers.
Yeah. So it might have helped Dominic.
Tom, that would be good.
So he would probably have got in.
So number 9, another guy from the 86 team, Randy Samuel, center back defender. Julian de Guzman comes in at number 8. And number 7 was Bruce Wilson from the 86 team. I think he was left back or something like that. Usually played one of the fullback positions. Paul Stalteri, Diesel. He was definitely right back, and we're still waiting for another right back to come in.
He actually did also play some left back, especially in the Bundesliga.
And then Jason DeVos finished number 5, the captain of the Gold Cup team.
Right. Okay. Right. But I feel like he got votes partly just because of what he's done, like outside of the pitch.
It's possibly, but he did have a pretty good career in England and everything, and like he scored the winner against Colombia at the Gold Cup, and that was a very good defensive team too. So you got to give him credit there. De Rosario, number 4.
Shame
I know you don't like him. If I look at the votes, I can almost assume which one you were, because most of the votes were anonymous. I didn't know who was actually sending these in.
You
I would know by the list basically. Number 3 was Alex Bunbury.
He was awesome.
Father of Trader. And then number 2 again. This was so close. I think a few years ago, whoever finished number 2 would have finished number 1, and that was Craig Forrest. He was the MVP of that Gold Cup, and probably their best player easily. And then
stop the PK,
a couple of PKs, in fact. And then number 1, obviously Tiva Hutchinson, and I think that's got a lot to do with, especially lately, his Europa and
Champions League,
and he got a little push maybe from Arsene Wenger, because he said he was the best player on the pitch for the team. So I think he got it, and I think deservedly. He's been a very good player.
You mispronounced that. It's not Arsene Wenger. It's Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger out.
I'm always thinking Wanker when I say it. So that's where the pronunciation comes from me.
That's because you hang around with me so much.
I think so. So I think it was a solid list. Like I said, Dominic Mobilio just missed out. If you look at it, say include Mobilio, top 11, you actually have a pretty solid team. A goalie,
right?
4 defenders. 3 midfielders and 3 attackers. So you could almost put a solid 11.
We should have done an 11.
Well, we're saying it now. Mobilio is 11. So if you do a best 11, that's you're basically best 11 right there.
And
that would be a great team.
Yeah, that would win a Gold Cup.
There's also a couple of votes for Jimmy Easton.
Jimmy Easton, yes, that's one person
I hadn't heard of, but
neither have I.
I got educated about him from a couple of guys.
Oh yeah, he's.
But again, he was injury riddled,
and he's doing stuff off the pitch now that has been significant, right?
Yeah. So I think it was a pretty solid list. Thank everybody who took the time to vote, and because I think I had like 34 people to pick from.
So no thanks to you.
No, but he did edit and put the pictures together, so it was good.
That's a great picture you chose.
It took me ages to find all those pictures. I don't know if anyone noticed.
The Craig Forrest one got actually a comment on the article, the Craig Forrest picture.
Oh.
Like, it was what a picture of Craig Forrest or something.
It was fun finding all the old pictures. The Canada Soccer Flickr account is a fantastic resource for people. If they don't know, go onto that. Great photos back there.
And they basically let you use them too.
They're for anyone to use as long as you just credit them. But I managed to pick a couple of Canada versus Scotland. I don't know if anyone picked up on that.
Yeah, I saw that.
But if you haven't seen the list or you want to read more about the individual players and also check out the women's list, you can do that on aftn.ca. A lot of work put into it by Steve and the guys that took part, and it was our special little nod for Canada Day.
Yeah, 2015.
2017.
Wait, 150. I'm getting all the numbers mixed up.
Quick comment about the pictures. My favorite picture by far, and again I'm biased, is you have your couple of Scotland ones.
I know what one. Yeah.
Which one?
The German one.
Yeah, that was like because I was there.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like June 1994, Varsity Stadium.
Who was that? Was that Randy
Samuel?
Yeah.
And it's Thomas Hassler's in the background.
There was a couple I could have picked, and I actually genuinely picked that because it was Germany for you.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, I just love looking through old photos, and it would be good if they could produce a really good book of just some quality old photos of Canada through the years. I would just lap that up.
And you were talking about Jimmy Easton. It's just so hard to get an idea of all the great players that came before, like the 70s even. Well, because there's so little information on them.
Century in particular.
Yeah, there's so little information because a lot of people had those. Like there was one player I think played for Celtic or something like that, a keeper. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I mentioned him in the article, and he was rated very highly. There were Dave Hunter, I think it was named the best player of the half century. So there were quite a few good players. It's just not enough information. Unfortunately, hockey dominated the sports landscape for Canada, and anybody, if you want to get all stats on hockey players, you can get them easily. Very hard to get them on soccer players.
So Jimmy, I might have this wrong, but Jimmy Easton is I think the guy who wrote the report that recommended Canada.
Yes, the Easton report.
Well, that's right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that name.
I would have voted for Dean Robertson, quality Canadian goalkeeper.
I'm assuming he was born in Scotland.
No, he's Canadian through and through.
Okay.
Played for East Fife, but he's Canadian through and through.
East Fife, there you go.
So if you had East Fife in the bingo card, you can scratch that off.
He always called us, this is when I did the fanzine, he always referred to us as Afton. He's like, hey, you're the Afton guy, and then he'd call me Mr. Afton. So
obviously that top 10 list was great, but then there's going to be new players hopefully coming out of this Gold Cup that maybe
in years to come, they'll be the future heroes.
175th anniversary.
Did Alfonso get any votes?
No.
No, yet. Okay.
I didn't put him on the list. It's too early.
I noticed there was no write-in, was there?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
I didn't want to take it off the rails with the write-in votes.
It was enough work as it was for that.
Yeah.
So the Gold Cup gets underway for Canada on Friday. French Guinea. I said French Guinea, as you'll hear in a sec when I speak to Marcel de Jong.
Tomato.
So it's an interesting group. We've got French Guinea. We've got Costa Rica, and of course we've got Honduras, because Canada cannot play in a group in a tournament without having Honduras.
But it might be a good time to, they're not the strongest.
FH.
Yeah.
Hashtag FH. It's a tough campaign coming up.
Wait, what does FH mean?
You know.
Oh, wait. Okay, I think I know what it means.
Honduras.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Thankfully, there's no cameras in here. Really tough group, as you would expect. Canada has to get off to a great start on Friday. That's the game against the weakest opposition. It's the game that they have to get 3 points. We've seen it so many times in the last couple of competitions. They haven't done that. We've also seen in the last couple of competitions no one can put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, we got to score.
And then you look at the roster, and only 2 forwards actually listed, but when you break it down, there's like Jackson Hamal, Alphonso Davies, guys that can play striker or at least get goals. But some big omissions. No Tesho Akindele. No Kyle Larin, although he is now cleared and rumours are that he would be good to come in for the knockout stages.
If they make it there,
a little bit optimistic.
I know you were giving me the gears about that.
Yeah.
So just to give some background for that, last week I said on the podcast, I was told he'd be out for 6 weeks.
Yes.
So I was told by a family member of someone who's connected at Orlando that what they were told was he'd be missing for 6 weeks. Not a certain number of games, but 6 weeks.
Yes.
And it's been 2.5 weeks.
6 days.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. and I
Those
think he's
doctors
back.
do good work.
Yeah.
And he pled not guilty.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Don't even get me
Are you
started on
serious?
that. I'm genuine. He pleaded not guilty.
Is this okay? Okay, I know we're going on a tangent here, but is this the same kind of thing like Gleason and
Yes.
Listen, they plead not guilty in order to get a lighter, whatever the thing is, to get a lighter thing from the prosecution. That's why they plead not guilty.
How did those two knuckleheads get off last year?
Timbers fan in the State Department.
Good lawyers. I'm assuming.
How?
I know. I like
in the DA's office. The Timbers fan. A lot of Timbers fans.
Don't get me started on this, because this is something that pisses me off so much. There's a lot of bad things in the world. Drunk driving is just unacceptable in this day and age. Having even one drink can put you impaired. And look, let me.
Don't worry, I'll set up an ad for drunk drivers.
I'm not even going to go into this because I'll just,
sorry, and I'm
really bothers me.
And I appreciate Kyle Larin as a footballer and as a Canadian, and I long for what's best for him. I'm not trying to be anti him, but I'm shocked that, and again, I don't understand things, Steve, like you said. I don't understand how you complete not guilty.
We'll see what comes out of it, but yeah. So he's missing. Let's get back to some football talk.
Yeah, he
is missing, and it's but we know the first game that's coming up is the one that they have to win. The danger is, though, that if it doesn't get off to a good start, right away the feeling is that's the campaign over.
Yeah. The thing, I agree with that if they don't get not even a result, they need a win. And they need 3 points in that first game. We'll see how they play against those other two teams, but definitely that first game is a must-win.
And you also have the heat aspect as well. The first game is in New Jersey. Then you've got your other two games in Texas, one in Dallas, one in Houston. And we know the Whitecaps struggle when they go down there. And you're playing in heat and humidity, so yeah, why not play Costa Rica and Honduras in that?
Yeah, no favors from the Gold Cup.
Big advantage.
Committee.
But as we mentioned, the Whitecaps have 4 players away. Alfonso, Rusty, Samada Kugbi and Marcel de Jong. And I got a chance to speak to Marcel de Jong just before he flew off to join up with the Canada camp, talking about all things Gold Cup and a lot more.
And I wear it for my lady, the Canadian flag, baby.
So Marcel, you're named to the Canadian Gold Cup squad. It's going to be your 5th Gold Cup. How much are you looking forward to it this time around compared to previous ones?
Every Gold Cup is different, obviously. I just see it as a new chapter, the new coach, different players. So I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, like I said, every Gold Cup is special, but I think this one is my 5th one. So I'm blessed again to be there.
And it's a younger squad this time. You're one of the veterans in the team. How does it feel seeing this young talent coming through? Is it feeling like the start of what is hopefully going to be a bit of a golden age for this team now?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I've been around and see players come and go, but now I think we have a good group of young players who are stepping in to the national team and making an effort to compete with the older players, so to say. But I mean, I'm positive about the younger generation, and I think they have a bright future ahead of them.
And looking at the roster that came out, there does seem to be a distinct lack of forwards on it. Obviously, Kyle's not in it for reasons that we know, and then Tesho Akindele's not been named. But 2 forwards actually listed as forwards in it. You've got the likes of Alfonso that can play that as well. But is there any concerns of where the goals might come from this team?
Everybody knows we've been struggling with scoring on the Gold Cups. It's been a while that we scored, but no, I mean, with the players we have now, with Jackson Hamill from Montreal, he's been on fire now lately. He's been scoring goals. Even last game in national team, he's been scoring. So and you have Cavallini is coming in, which is also a big player for us. And But no, I'm not worried too much about us not scoring. I'm positive. I think we have a good chance. I think we have like we said, good players around in the team and who can deliver balls, and it's just a matter of put them into the net. And I'm positive. I think we'll make a big difference this Gold Cup.
And French Guinea's first up. Obviously, on paper, the weakest team in the group, so it's important to get off to a winning start there, but you can't obviously underestimate them as well. Is this one of those games it's like you want to come out just going for it, getting into a lead, but you don't want to just fall short?
You have to be smart. I mean, it's like everybody knows, it's a tournament, right? So it's 3 games, but if we play French Guinea on paper, it's a must-win game for us, and I think that's also how we have to play this game. I think we just have to come out and put them on the back foot and just go for it. I mean, I think less than 3 points is not good enough for us.
And then the next 2 games, obviously the toughest, Costa Rica and then Honduras yet again. It seems to be no matter what tournament you end up with Honduras. But playing in that heat of Texas and in Houston, it's like the Caps always struggle down there. Does that give those teams a bit of an advantage?
I believe so. We had it last Gold Cup when we played Jamaica over there as well, and 3 p.m. afternoon. So it's a battle. But I think a lot of the players from Honduras or Costa Rica when we play in Dallas, they've all been playing in MLS or somewhere else, so they're also not really used to it, I think. But it's gonna be a battle, and that's why I think the first game is important for us. It's a must-win, and any other results with a point or even a win, it would be huge for us. And I think it's a 50-50 over there.
Obviously a new coach with the group. You've not had a lot of time to work with him, but the last camp you were there, you started, you did well. What have you seen from what he brings to this team? Is there a big difference to what we had before with Floro? Or is it just going to take a little bit of getting used to this new style?
Every new coach comes is different. He wants to change everything, but I think his biggest change is just to change. He wants to change our mentalities and be more aggressive. Walk with your chest up. It's the small things, but he's just trying to convince ourselves that we are a good team and we have good players, and we do have the quality to beat Honduras or Costa Rica. So I think that's his big thing. He wants to just change the mindset of the players, and I think that's been good so far. Like the last camp was really impressive.
And for you yourself, you've obviously not been getting a lot of minutes with the Whitecaps, but you did start and play the last game in the friendly for Canada. Is it hard going from not playing regularly to then coming into a team and being a starter, especially at international level?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I'm one of the experienced players, so I'm used to focusing on myself for a game or recharging myself for a Saturday game, or if I haven't played for a while. But for me, it's not a big problem. I mean, that's why I think it's also important that we had the game in Montreal the last time, so I had some 90 minutes. And the trainings here are competitive as well, and I'm sharp and I'm ready to play, so I'm always ready.
That's great. Thank you so much, Marcel, and good luck.
All right, thank you.
In a time when hats were hats, I had no Canadian flag, just a sign of Dave and Roger, too scared to purchase larger. But now I walk through the Clyde Valley, and the shadow of firing Jack, power, fear no evil, wrapped in the Canadian flag.
Marcel de Jong there. And I asked him, how hard is it to go from not playing club football to then suddenly being a starter? I mean, he started the friendly against Curaçao, so he could be starting in this Gold Cup campaign. He doesn't seem to think it's an issue. But you've got him away, you've got Sam Arakugbe away, who hasn't kicked a ball in anger since January.
Yeah.
It's tough for these guys.
It's a few shades of awkward that he's not on the roster here and he's in the national team.
Yeah.
Well, the national team has to do with good for them, right? I guess.
No, but he hasn't been re-added to the Whitecaps roster.
No. And we don't know if he will. That's the thing as well. And if he has a good showing in the Gold Cup, there is a chance that other clubs elsewhere will be keen to take him on loan or buy him or whatever. But looking at the squad for Canada, it's very young.
Yeah.
Not a lot of veterans. Marcel's one of the veterans on it.
Patrice Bernier.
Are you hoping for much from this, or is this just a learning opportunity for these guys, focusing on the next World Cup campaign?
The issue is with the new coach. I think they've only that was the only game they played under the new coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And they really haven't really had any training sessions. I wouldn't put too much. I wouldn't be disappointed if I'd be disappointed if they didn't win this first game, but I wouldn't be disappointed if they didn't get to the knockout stage. I expect them to, but I wouldn't be horribly disappointed because I know it's still a brand new process. But I do want them to get past and get into the knockout stage. That's what my expectations are.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. My expectations are they need to get out of this group, or they need to qualify for the knockout round.
Yeah.
That comes first, obviously, from winning that first match. One of the things that's going to be interesting for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first Gold Cup for Junior and for Scott Arfield, right?
I'm almost sure that.
Definitely for Scotty.
Yeah.
And definitely for Junior, because Junior came at the same time.
Yeah. So
Similar.
I think that'll be interesting to see, like how much they want it, you know what I mean? Like how much they want to. I know this is their off season and
their call ups. Arfield in particular, there's been issues before with him going to play for Canada, but clearly he wants to play for his country. Well, he doesn't want to play for his country.
Okay, yes,
he wants to play for Canada.
We understand.
So, I mean, missing Burnley's pre-season, although in some regards being away with the national team is better pre-season training, gets them maybe fitter and ready to come and play competitive action than just some meaningless friendlies somewhere.
What do you guys think, Zach, especially for you, like, what do you think the starting lineup should be? Like, let's assume it's a 4-2-3-1. What do they normally play? At striker, I think Ricketts is the guy probably initially, right? Or do you think? Jackson Hamel.
I would personally never play Ricketts as a lone striker.
Yeah.
I think he's better with a
partnership?
partner, or if it's 4-2-3-1, then in one of those wide positions.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. I would love to see a bunch of Lucas Cavallini this tournament. Obviously, I don't watch a lot of Uruguayan football. I mean, back in the day, there used to be some Uruguayan football on Fox Soccer Channel or Fox Sports World Canada.
And Goal Canada,
yeah. But we don't get that anymore, so I would like to see him play. I'm not sure if he is really suited to play as a lone striker. I think I read somewhere that he does play in a partnership a lot in
so maybe Jackson Hamel, or maybe they play 4-4-2 then.
Maybe they go 4-4-2,
but they don't have that many strikers. That's the thing on the roster.
Do you think it's a given that Milan Boran is the starting?
100%.
Okay,
yeah.
So then let's look at a back four. Then who do you think is going to be in the back four?
I got right now Fraser Aird at right, left obviously Marcel, and then in the middle I personally would go with James and Straith. Although Vittoria would be another Vittoria or whatever, he'd be another option. I'm not a big fan of Jakovic at all because of his age.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much he's playing now.
Yeah, he's 35, or how old is he? Sorry, he's 31, and he's part of the New York Cosmos. I didn't even know that. I
thought he was still in Japan for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and he played in the friendly with James, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the partnership.
I think we'll probably see Vittoria, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I like you, and maybe I'm totally biased, and I'd love to see Adam Straith, early residency kid out here.
He could be a right back option too if they want to go with him at right back,
or holding
mid. And the other, you got Bernier in the midfield. Yeah. Samuel Piette most likely will play there.
You got to imagine they're not just bringing Bernier to be Alfonso's roommate.
Yeah.
He's going to contribute. So I expect to see him play him play a bunch, but there's a lot of different looks or a lot of different options
for looks, yeah.
Because you got a young guy like Raheem Edwards who's had a great season for TFC. They usually play 3-5-2, so he's played more as a winger than an actual fullback.
Yeah.
But he's definitely an option.
And I think if they say they play a 4-2-3-1, I'd like to see Arfield, Hoylett, and Osorio as the attacking three behind the striker, if they do decide to go there. If not, then...
So who's central of those three?
Osorio.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either, all three of them kind of switching around. Because Hoylett, I think he's dangerous sometimes when he's in the middle, because he can strike the ball. He has struck the ball from there. Arfield, I think he can. I think Michael can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he can play the middle too if those situations.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing Arfield. What he can do in a big tournament. It's one of the reasons he chose Canada.
Yeah.
He gets to play in tournaments.
A big tournament. Scotland doesn't, I guess, right?
Yeah, doesn't get to play in any tournaments if he's.
Well, the one thing I've noticed was Arfield, when I've seen him play wide, and both a little bit for Canada and also in that funny league he plays over there in England? On that island. I see him cut in a lot. I see him cut it in quite a bit when he plays wide, which will be interesting to see if they do a 4-2-3-1. If he is wide,
even in a 4-4-2, he can easily cut in from wide too. Then,
yeah, but if he's wide in a 4-2-3-1, he cuts in.
Yeah,
that just creates more room for a Fraser Aird, for example, who loves to get forward. And
because he is actually a winger more than he is a right back.
So you see Piet and Bernier holding.
I think so. If it's a 4-2-3-1, if it's a 4-4-2, I probably see one of those guys play with Osorio in a 4-4-2. So like you said. There's a number of options because a lot of these guys can play in different positions.
And that's all without mentioning Alphonso Davies and what his role might be.
Yeah. You have to feel like they're going to use him off the bench at least to start with, and then I guess just see how the early games go and take it from there.
Until he rips it up and then...
Oh yeah, then he'll never be out the squad again.
All joking aside, I really hope Alphonso can make an awesome contribution to
I think they're going to do stuff like maybe bring him on off the bench so the people are surprised. And so he can make a contribution somewhere there.
So quick yes or no, is Canada going to make it out of the group and get to the knockout stages?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say no. I think Costa Rica will win it and then Honduras will go through as well. Canada will win their first game now.
That's a positive.
Yeah. And score some goals. Yeah, it should
win
be
at
exciting.
1-0.
There's Voyageurs gatherings all across the country. There should be one hopefully in Vancouver and one hopefully in this place called the Fraser Valley.
Games on TSN.
All games on TSN, yeah.
So check that out. So good luck to Canada in the upcoming matches. And we'll be back with more chat after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Valentine. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
Talking of Canadian legends before, and we're hearing from another one there, Carl Valentine, Canadian and Whitecaps legend, current assistant coach with the Whitecaps under-16s, who have a massive quarter-final coming up on Thursday, Cascadian derby against the Sounders. Maybe we can get some success against the Sounders since Whitecaps 2 lost to Sounders 2. TSS Rovers lost to Sounders under-23. Thursday, third time in the last 4 years that the Caps under-16s have made it to the quarter-final stages.
Only the second time they're hosting it actually in the province of BC.
First one was down in Bellingham. Controversial loss in normal time. Second one, penalty shootout loss up at SFU.
Heartbreak.
This Thursday, 6 o'clock kickoff, we believe, according to the USSDA site. Hasn't been confirmed by the Caps yet. Up at UBC. They really want to try and get a lot of folk out to this if they can. That's why they've tried to.
That's why they put it at UBC. Yeah, they put it at UBC.
Yeah. But it looks like the hope is it's going to either be played.
You're better off in Newton or Coquitlam. I think you'll get more people out there.
Well, they're hoping to play it on their new turf pitch at the training centre. At the very worst, they might play it on grass at Dillon Field. But it looks like it's going to be up at UBC. USSDA site, and the Sounders retweeted this, basically has it down as a 6 o'clock kickoff. Hopefully people can get up to that one. Really looking forward to it. Great goal scorer in the making, Jose Hernandez. 22 goals in the season so far, 4 in the playoffs down in the group stages. And looking forward to seeing what he can bring. If you didn't get a chance, check out AFTN, aftn.ca, for Steve's 6th annual Ones to Watch countdown list. We did our top 5 for the under-16s and the 18s.
Another ranking.
And it will be fantastic if they can get through this and then get into the Final Four, which is taking place the following week down in LA.
Yeah, that would be the ideal thing. And they've the 18s have gotten down to the the semifinals a couple times, but
to the finals.
Yeah, the finals, and the 16s have yet to get to there. So hopefully this is the year they break through. Obviously, like you talked about, they were scoring. Hernandez was scoring quite a bit. Couldn't stop him. Obviously, when we do the rankings, we do it before the residency. It might have changed a little bit.
I had him as number 1 with my goal scoring bias, like I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then when I talked to the scout, our scout that we've used over the years, It was the number one. I always forget how to pronounce his name.
Alessandro.
We'll call him by his first name. Fine, Alessandro. Him and Rodriguez were neck and neck basically, and they gave it to Alessandro because of the fact that he creates more and he's able to score and create.
Yeah.
Hernandez, we're talking about, right?
Hernandez.
Okay.
What did I say?
Rodriguez.
Oh,
just a quick remind me. Is Hernandez one of the guys we scooped out of Edmonton?
I think he was, yes.
Yeah, okay.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Jefferson Alad's another one.
It's hard to keep track of who's out of there.
But I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, if you can get up to UBC, get up for this one. The guys really appreciate the support, and there was a good turnout 2 years ago up at SFU for the game against Georgia United.
That was a fun day.
If they can get into the Final Four, get the 16s through to the championship game for the first time, that would be tremendous. Toying with going down to LA if they do get into the Final Four.
And you are correct, yes, Rodriguez. I wasn't sure what to say there. Rodriguez is from Edmonton.
What about Hernandez?
It's Hernandez from Edmonton.
Hernandez, oh my God. I can't keep him straight. I'm thinking...
Who is this Rodriguez guy?
I don't know.
Is he good?
No, yeah, he must be. Maybe it's James Rodriguez from Real Madrid or something.
If Seattle's Academy is listening to this podcast, they're going to be doing all this research going, who's this Rodriguez guy? You have to watch for him.
I'm doing it on purpose to throw them off. Alessandro, he's from Burnaby. So they do have some local connection there.
Both Mexican descent as well.
Yes.
So get out to that if you can. Now we're going to move on to my favourite part of the show, is Wavelength. Every week we play you a football-related song. This time we're going back to 1997. Billy Bragg, from his album Bloke on Bloke. I like my songs which kind of are using football metaphors for everyday life. Thursday's show, episode 205, I had a song by 1,000 Yard Stare called 0-0 after extra time, or no score after extra time, depending how you want to call that. And that was kind of using metaphors for relationships and football. So we've got another one now, Billy Bragg. This is The Boy Done Good.
Strangers it may seem, I once had my football dreams, but I was always the last one, the last to get chosen when my classmates picked their teams. I guess that was the way it stayed in every game I played. Life just kicked me, clattered and tripped me, till you picked me from the parade. Now I feel like I've won the cup every time that we made love. 45 minutes each way. At half time I hear a brass band play. The boy done good, the girl done better. The season's turned, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow is another day. The boy done good, the girl done better. The season's turned, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow is another day. You weren't that kind of a bird who likes her studs to be covered in mud. Taking you to the pictures was a regular fixture for one of life's eternal subs. Though I tried hard acting tough, I just can't stand the taste of that stuff. Like some Metro Park player I got in the way of in some grudge match against his club. Still I'm happy where I am today. Now I've put my boots away. I guess I'll never get picked to play my song of match of the day. The boy done good, the girl done better. The season's turned, we're still together. The sky's still blue, tomorrow is another day. The boy done good, the girl done better. The season's turned, we're still together. The sky's still blue, and tomorrow is another day.
The boy done good indeed from Billy Bragg there from his 1997 album Bloke on Bloke. And if you were paying close attention, at the end of the Brett Levi's interview, we had another Billy Bragg song, Levi's Stubbed Tears.
Yeah, at least this song didn't really, like, it didn't hurt anybody. Like in the you know, you can understand the words, and it didn't like hurt your ears when it first started playing. So it's a positive that way.
Not everything is punk.
Yeah.
But that is it, I think, for this episode of the show. Anything else you guys want to chat about?
Oh, I think we're done.
Everyone's going on Wednesday?
Yep, Wednesday, looking forward to it. May or may not bring out a post-game show during the week. If not, we'll be back next Sunday with the AFTN Soccer Show here on CITR Radio. As we mentioned, it's going to be a lot of chat about the Canadian women's team.
Obviously, we'll recap the Gold Cup as well, the first game.
Yes, so we'll have a national sentiment. If only it was Canada Day next week. Is every day not Canada Day?
Should be.
It should be. So, before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me on Twitter, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm a part of the Movement Curva Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read all our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Follow us on our new Instagram account, at AFTN Soccer. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com and the Western Conference reporter for USLsoccer.com.
I'm assuming the Instagram accounts for dogs at soccer games.
Oh, there'll be tons of that to come, yeah. That's the ones that seem to get the most likes. I've started to learn how to use Instagram now. Hashtag dogs.
Dogs and babies doing crazy things.
Michael's like, I have to get a baby?
Now I'm now thinking, should I put a baby on a dog? No, okay, I'll think about that on the drive home. It's a long drive home. This episode of the podcast, as with all episodes, is presented in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news and links. Check them out on bcsoccerweb.com. So that is it for this episode of the show. Thanks for listening. Podcast will be out on Monday. If you're listening to the podcast, you know that already. Until next time, take care. Thanks for listening.
And on the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.